Welcome to Masterclass series. My name is Mashauri and I'm with Azim Jamal. Today we're talking about relationships, and Azim has authored a book, 7 Steps to Lasting Happiness, and today we're talking about 7 steps to lasting relationships. Maybe to begin with, lasting relationships. What does this term refers to?
Refers to if you are a business partner, how do you have a relationship for your life or long term? If you're a marriage, how do you have a relationship for long term? If you have a friend, what is the process of keeping a long term relationship, lasting hopefully till your death, if possible, right?
So, why do some relationships last longer, others do not? Why?
This is what I'm going to talk about today. 7 steps to
Okay, let's start by step number 1.
Yeah, so step number 1 is discover yourself. Discover yourself meaning that many people in a relationship don't know themselves, in the sense of knowing yourself at a deep level. You see, we try to know the other person and complain about the other person and blame the other person, but many of us have not even taken time to understand ourselves. What it means is that if you have heightened awareness of who you are, what makes you excited? What makes you frustrated? What makes you angry? Why do you react to this? Why is the partner being able to trigger things from you? So unless you understand yourself, you cannot change the world if you cannot change yourself. So discover yourself means that who are you as a person? What is your mission in life? What is your purpose in life? What is your vision? When you're going to die and you have asked about your life, what will you say to make you feel your life was so powerful? So that's step one, but it's part 1 of step 1. Part 2 is awareness. Okay, you know who you are, or you think you know who you are, and you have your vision, and you have your mission, and you have your obituary written out, and you have all this stuff done, so you have an idea who you are. Then awareness comes from noticing your actions, your behaviors, your outlook, your reactions, everything you do in alignment with who you are. And see what the disconnect is in terms of, it's like writing a journal about your life and saying, okay, is this really who I am, or I'm somebody different than I thought I was?
Okay, Azim, just to help us further into that, are you telling us at a point in life you need to stop and analyze yourself? Like, what is my mission? What is my vision? Where my strengths are? Or it is a journey, it's a process?
Well, in terms of knowing who you are, you have to stop sometime and think and reflect on who your life. So if you have never done it before, you stop and ask, if you were to die today and you were going back to your creator, and the creator says, welcome back, Paul. I gave you eyes that were so powerful. I gave you a brain which was more powerful than the computer. I gave you so much power. Tell me about your life. What did you do? What will you say? Will you say I made $100,000 million and I put it in the bank? Or will you say I stole money from this guy? And what will you say that makes you feel that your life was phenomenal? Okay, so if you don't have a definition of what your life should look like, it's like having no goals. I mean, you have a goal for your business for 3-5 years, but that goal is not alignment to your final goal. Yeah, so if your goals are aligned to your day when you're going to part from this world, these goals are permanent. And they align with your family goals, with your business goals, with your church goals, with everything else you do in your life. Because there's a connection. And that's when your life becomes integrated.
Okay.
Yeah? So discover yourself, meaning knowing who you are, what you're all about, why are you on this earth, what is your purpose, if you were to define your own purpose, what it would be and why. And then awareness is looking at what you're doing on a daily basis in alignment with your purpose. Because if you're not living in alignment with your purpose, that's where the disconnect comes, that's where the frustration comes. And then you become the problem in the relationship without realizing it.
Yeah.
Because you're not satisfied with your life, you're frustrated with what's going on, you're taking out the relationship. You cannot change the other person. We're talking about you right now. Because if you start talking about the other person, it's 20 times more complicated because you're also complicated. Okay, and the third part of the step 1 is making choices. Every choice you make, is it aligned to your purpose, to your destiny that you want? And are you aware what kind of choices you're making? Is it leading to that or leading away from that? And so this whole first step is the foundation, because without that first step, everything becomes confusing.
Now, on the first step, assume I'm single and I want to make a decision to get into marriage. Maybe I have friends and I'm thinking maybe one could be my future wife. Does the analysis on myself contribute or should give me some indications of the kind of a person I need to choose for future?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because you know who you are, what you want in life, what you don't want in life. So when you meet a person who is going to bring out things that are not in alignment with what you want and who you are, your principles, your values, your ethics, your behavior, your outlook, then of course you will not be attracted to that person, because some people get attracted by the beauty, and beauty is okay, it's nice, but it's temporary. Imagine this person with you when they're 90 years old, and then how are you going to respect them? The beauty will be gone, I mean the outer beauty, but the inner beauty will always be there if the inner beauty is already existing. So this process of discovering yourself is a very foundational thing in finding a marriage partner, finding a business partner, even finding a close friend. Do they reflect would they be exciting for you to be part of their journey in the way you are as a person?
Okay, let's go to the second step. What is the second step?
So, second step is to maintain positive attitudes. So, just like happiness is not a set of circumstances, it's a set of attitudes. Lasting relationship is not a set of circumstances, it's a set of attitudes. So, do you have positive attitudes, which means that you won't sweat the small stuff. Small stuff happens in a relationship. You will just overlook it because it doesn't really, you will pick your battles. You won't pick every battle because it's so draining, so exhausting, whatever. Yeah, you'll always look at the bright side of things. When things don't work out, you will look at the bright side. When things go bad, you'll say, okay, what's the best that can happen from this one? Yeah, so they'll make your issues become lesser and lesser because you don't react to small things. You need to try to respond to things. So positive attitudes include 2 or 3 things. One is that you count your blessings.
Okay.
What does it mean to count your blessings? You have a family, you have kids, you count your blessings. Some people don't have kids. Some people have lost young kids by dying or something or the other. Some people have cancer in the family. So if you don't have all this, you count your blessings by saying, look, yes, there are problems, but there are also very much good things too. And wherever I focus, it grows. So if I focus on my blessings grow. Yeah. So in some way, we all have a lot, but we never count what we have. Our health. What would you do to get your health back? What would you do to get your child back? You'll do a lot, but you never count it as a blessing. So that becomes a very important piece in terms of, so that's part 1 of second step, counting your blessings. Part 2 of second steps is betting on yourself, meaning that you believe in yourself, you have confidence, you have conviction that you can sort things out, you can make a relationship better, you have the capacity to do it. You will do whatever it takes to be able to make it better. And of course, it can come to an extreme where you cannot, which is because the chemistry is so bad between relationship, but it's fine. But you generally have a confidence that no matter what, even if I do split, I'll still keep the relationship because my kids are involved, for example. So you have that. So you bet on yourself to be able to make things work for the better because you have the capacity to do it. Yeah.
Azim, when you're dealing with a person who you're related to and you have a positive attitude and she or he maintains a negative attitude, be at workplace or at home space, maybe in a family or in a marriage. And you are a human being. Sometimes you're hurt. Sometimes you feel like you don't deserve it. And the other guy keeps on hurting you. But you still maintain the positive attitude. How best to live with it? How best that it shouldn't affect you to the extent that you also change and start becoming negative.
It's a good one. It's very difficult. However, nobody can hurt you without your permission. Meaning that if people hurt you and you get hurt, you're giving them permission to hurt you. The example of Viktor Frankl, he was put in a Nazi concentration camp and abused for many years. And when he came out, people are wondering what is going to be his revenge strategy. And instead he wrote a book called Men in Search of Meaning, where he said, nobody can hurt you without your permission. Instead of taking revenge, he wrote about things that even though I was there and I saw people doing bad things, I also saw good people who would share their last bread with other people when they had nothing. So he focused on what the good things were, not on the bad things were. Yeah. So the only time you should be getting hurt really is when you do bad things. Then you're responsible. Somebody else is doing bad things is their problem. Why are you getting muddled up with them? by somebody saying something to you doesn't make it the truth. A flower is a flower. You call anything by any other name, the flower is still a flower. So why are you reacting? Is it because it's hurting you somewhere where it's truth? That way you're reacting? So really it's a question about, again, boiling down to you're responsible, not somebody else. Okay. So first is count your blessings in the second step. The second part of second step is bet on yourself. And the third part of second step is do your best, leave the rest.
Do your best,
leave the rest. So you do your best in what you can do and then forget about the rest. Okay. Don't worry about the rest. It's not your issue. You just do your best and you move on, right? Because you're not expected to do more than your best. The question is, are you doing your best? What else can you do to do your best in maintaining positive attitudes in a relationship?
Thank you. And what is step number 3?
Step number 3 is hone your life skills. So hone means sharpen. Sharpen your life skills. Okay. So for example, in that part of it is being balanced. Are you balanced? Is your body physically fit? Is your mind very sharp? Is your soul very nourished? Are you balanced in your life between your family, your health, your spirituality, your finance, your lifelong learning, and your work? Because if you are not really happy. You are not very connected, and that affects the relationship. Because you go about feeling, I'm too much at work, too much at this, too much at that, and there is no balance in my life. And the other person also feels it, and you also feel it, and it affects the relationship, if it's a marriage situation. But even if it's a business partnership, if you're not balanced, you'll be more stressed out, you won't be as buoyant and as energized, and it affects the relationship.
In cases whereby the relationship is the one which is affecting the balancing, what needs to be done? Maybe you find a husband who doesn't want you to go to work. Or you have a wife who, doesn't feel like for you to go to exercise. She wants you to be there all the time. Or you have a spouse who is not necessarily interested into, like having a business aside your career, and she feels like you need to stick to one thing. Under those circumstances, what is the best way out?
So, the whole thing about this 7 steps is it starts with you. Let's not pass the buck to somebody else. If you want to exercise, who's to stop you to wake up half an hour early, go to work earlier, and spend half an hour exercising before you go to work, outside your work, going for a walk? Who's going to stop you? Is your wife going to follow you 24 hours?
The husband wants you on bed until early 7 a.m.
I think you'll find that these are all excuses, because sometimes the spouse is sleeping so late they don't even know what time you woke up and went, right? They don't care about it. Yeah, so I think all this is an excuse not to exercise by passing the buck to somebody else. There are always ways to do it. Lunchtime you're at work, your spouse is not there, you're going to go for a walk and eat a bit less instead.
Exactly, yeah.
There's always ways. So that issue about I can't do it because of that
is an excuse.
Yes.
Okay.
So first step is part 1 of step 3 is balance.
Okay.
Part 2 of step 3 is being a good leader. Are you a good leader? Meaning that, do you build capacity at home? Do you build capacity at work? Leadership is about being inspiring, empowering, energizing, engaging. So with your partner, if it's a wife, your husband, you will say, okay, what will make you happy? Going out 2 times a week, going out 3 times a week. Let's define it. And then make sure you do it, because then your goals are clear as well. Yeah. So you'll apply leadership quality without saying you're a leader, without showing off that you're doing everything, but you'll make things happen because you're engaging, you're empowering, you're energizing in the way you observe your life and how you do things. Yeah. Okay. And the third step, the third part of the third step is work with pride. Anything you do, you work with pride. At work, you go the extra mile. In partnership, you go the extra mile. In everything you do the extra mile, because that defines who you are. That you believe in excellence, you believe in passion, you believe in going the extra mile. And that separates you from other people in life. And that also helps you, because even in a relationship, you will go the extra mile to do whatever you can to make sure that it works. Yeah, because that's who you are as a person. And same thing you do at work with your business partner.
And you have mentioned about working with pride, and so many times, Azim, you talk about giving. How do you tell the people who are actually giving and they have this spirit of philanthropism, and yet the response is not necessarily positive, and people feel maybe you give for negative motives, or just that they feel you give because you have you want to show off yourself, like you have a lot. And we see this happening. Even Bill Gates, people may say, he's showing himself off. How can one deal with it not necessarily affecting his own positive attitude over giving and the relationships around?
Yeah, so if you connect that with relationship, if you look at it in terms of, let's say if you're giving and your partner thinks you're giving to show off, and that affects your relationship, then the question is to ask yourself, am I doing it for that reason? Where is my giving coming from? And even if you're doing it for that reason, if it's helping somebody be aware of life, it's still beneficial, right? Yeah. But the issue is deeper. Usually when a spouse has a problem with somebody else giving, the issue is deeper. The issue is there's something else going on in a relationship, that this is becoming an excuse for why you're doing this and why you're doing that. But there's something more fundamental at play here. Sometimes there could be a conflict of values. The one spouse wants to give more, one spouse wants to give less. One spouse feels we should be giving to ourselves and our kids and not outside. Charity begins at home. But just again a balance between that relationship in terms of how one gives and take.
Okay, Azim, this topic is very interesting, but let us go for a short break and we'll be coming back soon to continue with the topic, which is 7 steps to lasting relationships. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Sixth sense is intangible. It's more a gut feeling, the connection between the finite world and the infinite world. Something around that, right? Anything that's happening in life today, aeroplanes, telephone, somebody conceived that idea. So when you have a sixth sense and you get an idea, then the next step is to make the idea become a reality. If you want to make your life better than what it is now, you have to become innovative, you have to become creative, you have to become imaginative.
Welcome back to Masterclass series. My name is Mashauri and I'm with Azim Jamal. And the topic is 7 steps to lasting relationships. Now we go to step number 4. What is the step number 4?
Build healthy relationships. So
they're healthy and unhealthy relationships.
Yes, absolutely. So part of the building healthy relationship is to communicate effectively. What do you mean by communicating effectively is being a good listener. People think communication is talking. Actually, communication is listening. Because I assume that we have a partnership, business partnership, and I don't listen to you. And you're communicating to me. And while you're communicating, I'm thinking of what I'm going to say when you finish. So after you finish, I'm saying something that I had planned to say, but I never listened to what you're saying. And you're wondering, where did that come from? So when I'm talking, you're preparing to respond what you want to say. So we have no communication. You're talking French, I'm talking German. So in a relationship, it's about listening. When a spouse is talking, you're not thinking of the football game on the TV or reading newspaper, but you're listening to her body language, her demeanor, her words, everything. With your eyes, with your ears, with your heart, with undivided attention, without judgment. Then you really understand what the person is saying and where they're coming from. Otherwise, you miss the boat. And if you really understand what the person is saying, and then when the person finishes, instead of saying your piece, you repeat what the person has said and make sure that if I understand you correctly, you're saying this. So the person feels validated that their concern has been actually heard. And then whatever you say is like a bullet, because you've given them the chance to first understand what they're saying, where they're coming from, and then whatever you say becomes even more relevant and more applicable. Yeah, so that's communicating effectively. Okay, also having a system whereby once a week you may go to a movie or a dinner or a coffee and look at last week and say, okay, well, let's talk about what we did well last week. And then what we could have improved last week. And what's our goal next week.
Okay.
Something like that where, there's communication is effective. Because if you don't communicate and people are assuming things, assumptions are dangerous. Because they're always incorrect. And then they add up and then big flare happens because they kept building and there was no way of communicating effectively.
You have used the term understanding many times when you're talking about this point. I want to understand better the term understanding in this context, not in terms of, getting the point of the one you're talking to, but in terms of knowing where he comes from. For instance, somebody has been in a relationship in which he had bad experience, and you are relating to him now. So how best it is for people in a relationship to understand each other, where they're coming from, in a way they can also understand their language, how they communicate, how they behave, and how they look at things.
Yeah, so to give you an example, my wife values money quite a bit. She's very careful about money. She saves a lot. She works hard and makes money. And I could never understand why money was so important to her until one day I went deeper and realized that when she was young, her father died. Father was a successful lawyer, but he died very young and he didn't have any life insurance and not much savings. Mother didn't work, and her older brother was spendthrift, spending a lot of money, and she was the middle sister. She got very nervous about money, started protecting money. So when I realized that, then it made me appreciate why money is so important to her. Otherwise, I would feel, why is she so particular about money?
Okay.
So understanding another person makes you realize why people behave the way they behave. For me, time was so important to me, and my wife never understood why time was so important to me. And when she realized that I failed my exams in school because I had bad friends, I partied, I went out, I never studied, and I realized if I don't protect my time, I'll never be successful, she began to appreciate why time was so important to me.
Okay. That's good. Let's go to step number 5.
Step number 5 is let ethics and values be your guide. So whatever you do in a relationship, make sure there's an ethical foundation.
Beforehand, can you define ethics? Because there's normally confusion of the term ethics. What does it mean in this context?
So in this particular context, one of the meanings of the ethics is that it's the foundation. It's the honesty, integrity, transparency, that you're honest. Okay. You're not going to lie. Whatever it is, you will be honest. You'll be authentic. And that's very important foundation, because if you build a relationship on lies and cheating and all that, it's going to fall for some time because the foundation is not correct. Right? So the idea is that that's the foundation of ethics and principles and values. The second part of ethics is giving in a relationship, because if you don't give and take, then there's no relationship. And you cannot worry about taking, because you're not responsible for taking. It's the other person's giving. But you can give. What do you give? You give the benefit of doubt. When something goes wrong, rather than blaming and judging, you give the benefit of doubt. Perhaps I'm misunderstanding something here. Perhaps something happened that I didn't know about. Yeah? So you give the benefit of doubt. You give a listening ear. You give emotional support. You give love. You give forgiveness. You give so many things in a relationship. And if you keep doing that, it's, there's my friend Dr. Covey used to say, Stephen Covey, about the emotional bank account. See, it's like a bank account. You don't deposit money and you write a check, what happens? It bounces. In a relationship, if the emotional bank account is debit, too much debit and no credit, then anything you do, it backfires. But if you have a lot of credit, then you make a mistake, the check doesn't bounce. There is some credit to take from. So in many people's relationship, the debit is so much that they wonder, why am I always getting but in the other person's life, in account, you are very much debit, so there is not enough credit. So you got to keep putting deposits in the money, the credit. Eventually, when the balance is out, then you're okay. But until then, you are in a negative.
Now, I want to ask another question out of the issue of ethics and values. Even before you get into a relationship, for instance, sometimes it is important people, when they talk and understand one another. I want to know in terms of different value systems. Assume you are marrying somebody who is not in your faith, so he's subscribing to different types of values. Or assume you're getting a relationship or partnership with someone who is coming from a different culture where the belief system is different. How important it is to discuss and understand these values and appreciate a lot of amicable and very smooth relationship at the end.
Yes. So generally, when you look at all the faiths, the values are the same. No faith will tell you should lie. No faith will tell you to kill. People do kill and do things
because of
their own interpretation, but no faith tells you those bad things. If you look at all the faiths, in essence, they're all the same. Different language, different time, different prophet, all that, but bottom line, they're the same. So that's one part. Secondly, we're all human beings. We all laugh and cry in the same language. When you laugh, you don't laugh in a different language than I laugh. When you cry, so we have so many similarities. There are differences, of course. Yeah, there are sometimes value differences. In terms of some people may value giving, some may not. Some people may value, relationships, grandparents, this, that. Some people may not. So you'll find those differences, and they can play a big havoc in the relationship. So understanding those, and the best way it should be is that you respect your partner's values and they respect yours. You don't want them to change their values, because people don't change values. But give them space to do what they need to do to fulfill their values, and vice versa.
Okay, now we'll go to step number 6.
Step number 6 is awaken your spirituality, meaning that you connect with your spirit. Spend time on meditation, spend time on quiet time, learn from nature, because the more connected you are to your spirit, the more calmer you are, the more peaceful we are, the more happier you are. and that feeds in the relationship. Because
Okay, before you continue, Azim, can you help us clarify? Because to some societies, meditation and yoga is a new concept. What is it exactly?
well, let's forget about the terms. The idea is to spend some quiet time with yourself,
Okay.
to go deeper and find out who you are,
Okay.
and connect with your spirit. So even if you sit down and look at the nature or look at the ocean for 20 minutes, 10 minutes, or 5 minutes, or even 2 minutes, you will feel something different. You'll connect with nature. So it's quiet time, not being focused on work and all that, to reflect on things
Yourself.
bigger than life, right?
Okay.
And that makes you much more peaceful, much more calmer, much more collected, eh?
Okay.
And when you do those things, you are much more peaceful, and so you are easily irritable. You're not easily irritable. See, part of the problem is you or me in the relationship when we get easily irritable by other people because we are not together. But when you are peaceful, when you are spiritual, when you are less affected by things.
Okay, some people connect spirituality with religion. Can you help us clarify?
So religion is something you are born in, like Christianity, Judaism, Muslim. Most people are born in religion, and they make it a big deal. But you didn't even choose the religion; you were just born into it. So what grade are you taking to become to one or the other, right? But religion is a subscription you have to a religion which tells you A, B, C, D. You must pray 5 times a day. You must pray once a day. You must do this. You must do that, and you follow that. Spiritual is that you are inwardly spiritual, meaning you believe in the values of honesty, integrity, peace. You believe that all the religions are the same. You believe that you're one with everybody. You know, it's much more powerful, much more deeper, much more profound, because you believe in the oneness of creation, that we are all one in the end. If I hurt you, I hurt myself, and my spirit and your spirit is the same. If there's one God in the world, then all of us are children of that God. So why are we fighting each other?
Okay. Now we're waiting for the 7th step.
So the first 6 steps are about working. Discover yourself, maintain positive attitudes, hone your life skills, build healthy relationships, let your ethics and values be your guide, awaken your spirituality. The 7th step is not about work. It's about have fun. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride.
Okay.
So happiness or relationships not about the destination, it's about the journey. So enjoy the fight, enjoy the arguments, make it a fun thing, and then nothing affects you because you're waiting to make it perfect instead of realizing that sometimes there's perfection in imperfection.
And Azim, is happiness a reality or is simply fantasy?
It's a reality. It's a reality. It's what you conceive in your mind. If you're happy, happiness is not an outside factor. It's an inside matter. A relationship, bad or good, is also you conceiving it bad or good. What are you looking at, and how can you make it better?
And if the relationship doesn't work, how can you make yourself happy?
Well, in the extreme cases, if it doesn't work and you've done your best, then you say, okay, I had to meet this person in my life for a reason. He or she came to me because I had to learn. Your most difficult people in your life are your best teachers.
The best?
The best teachers, because they teach you something you didn't know. Even you realize that you haven't got it yet because you're reacting. You teach a ball not to react, but then you're reacting. So the person is making you say that you haven't got it yet. So you learn things that you don't know about yourself. So you'd be thankful for the relationship. And sometimes relationship lasts for 10, 20, 15 years and then you split up because there was a time you were supposed to be together. And now you're not supposed to be together. But appreciate the togetherness. Appreciate the good things that came out of it. If you have children from the relationship, appreciate that. And always look at the positive side. And then if it didn't work out, hopefully you'll find a better partner.
Okay, some people have to deal with the stalkers after the breakup. Stalkers, people who follow you through, like you've been married and this husband never want to let you go, So he still follow you through, threatens you, and your life becomes difficult. If you talk to these people, what do you tell them?
Yeah, that's difficult because, there are 2 or 3 parts. You can forgive this person and let them go. Not physically, but also spiritually and emotionally. And sometimes when you pray for the other person who's hurt you, the things change because your prayers has energy.
Okay.
But if you start hating this person and getting more angry and all that, it becomes even worse. So that's one thing you can do. Secondly, of course, you protect yourself from being harmed by this person.
Okay.
They can kill you, they can do bad things. So if you have to leave a country, whatever you can do, you might want to do it just to avoid this person, if it's that bad.
Okay.
Yeah, or you get the police involved and say that this is what's happening and let them handle it because your life is threatened by it. So it depends at what level this is. But deep down, you want to forgive these people, because by not forgiving, you're carrying the burden, you're carrying the baggage.
Okay. And do you believe like there's something like living happily married forever?
Well, it's a good question. I think the issue is what you make of it. See, people have a utopia. The marriage should be this way. Everything should be perfect. But it's not true. Every best marriage also has challenges, also has issues. It's how you react to it, how you respond to it, how you make the best of it becomes a happy definition, right? Okay. You define the happiness, right?
Okay. And okay, in terms of happiness, there's this concept of self-actualization. How is it related to 7 steps to lasting relationships?
Yeah. So self-actualization is basically ultimately you'll reach that level where you've gone through the basic food, clothing, shelter, the education, the health, the reading, all that, and now you are at a much higher level where you're connected to your spirit. Buddha was once asked that, what do you get from meditating? He said, I get nothing. But let me tell you what I get rid of by meditation. Get rid of lust, anger, greed, jealousy, all these things I get rid of by meditation. So self-actualization is a stage when you reach, but nobody can affect you. Nobody can hurt you.
Okay.
You're beyond that. People can do what they like. It's just like when God loves you, it's not because God loves us, not because we are lovable. God loves us because God is love. So when you reach that stage that you are loving people not because they're lovable, but you are love. You're able to forgive, you're able to transcend things, you're able to look at the bright side of everything, and then you are self-actualized. And then in a relationship, you become a very good partner to have.
We should love people not because they're lovable, but because
you are love.
Thank you so much, Azim. That's awesome. Thanks for coming. And it has been really very insightful indeed to be with you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching Masterclass series. I said earlier, my guest today was Azim Jamal, and I'm Mashauri.